Hello and welcome to Misaal. My name is Zahed and I'm your host. On this podcast, I talk candidly with the most innovative minds working towards building a better startup economy in Pakistan. In this episode of the Misaal podcast, I invite you to listen in on my conversation with Hira Tariq. She is the founder of Sisterhood, a fashion marketplace for pre-loved items. She talks about how sustainable fashion startups help the consumer and the planet and how to build and grow an e-commerce marketplace. Let's listen in. Welcome, Hira, to the Misaal podcast. How are you?
Thank you, Zahid. Thank you for having me. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. So, are you based out of what city are you based out of?
I'm based out of Islamabad, which is
Okay.
very gloomy right now because it's all cloudy. It has been cloudy for the whole week.
So let's get right into it. Please go ahead and tell us about your startup Sisterhood and like what you have been up to recently and how are things going for you?
Great. So, my startup's name is Sisterhood, which is basically a buy and sell platform for pre-loved items. But it is more than just a buy and sell platform because it was born, with the intention of actually spreading awareness regarding sustainable fashion in Pakistan, because we realize that people in Pakistan are really unaware and about global warming or climate change and how they can create an impact through fashion choices on the environment. So this is how we started Sisterhood. The idea is to actually encourage Pakistani market to adopt to sustainable fashion. It's a huge market in the world, so we're just expecting that in future it's going to be a huge market in Pakistan as well. So that's the agenda, and that's where we are at. And we're right now creating financial incentives for women to declutter. So we have generated around 4 million PKR in a span of slightly more than a year for women who have sold to us.
Okay. So are you so do you like reach out to women for clothes and is it more like a consignment kind of model, or is it like, you buy clothes from them and then you sell them? Like how does that work?
It's more like it's a marketplace. So what
Okay.
happens is that we have sellers and we have buyers. Sellers take pictures of their items, they upload it on our website, and when they get sold, we charge a certain amount of commission from that. We arrange the pickup. Our rider goes to their house, picks up the parcel, and then delivers it to the buyer.
So before the product goes onto the website, like there is like you don't have access to the product. It's basically once the product is sold is when you get it shipped from the seller to the buyer.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's C2C.
Okay. So how are things been so far? Like, are you like because I've noticed that a lot of e-commerce websites in Pakistan, they have like increased their sales during COVID. Have you seen something similar?
I did, because I started off with just Instagram page, and to be honest, there are a lot of Instagram pages and Facebook groups out there. So I wasn't expecting the kind of response that I did, because so many women reached out to me to actually get their items posted, and I was surprised to see the amount of items that women had that they wanted to sell. So I believe that COVID had a lot to do with it as well, because they had more than they thought items in the closets that they were not wearing. So they had more to declutter, and at the same time, people were on their Instagram all the time, shopping all the time. So that definitely played a huge role, because like even in the even in like the second month, I made more than 200,000 rupees as a GMV. On my just through an Instagram page with like maybe 3K following. So I definitely saw an impact as well.
Okay, so that's very impressive. So can you tell me more about like your team? Like how many people do you have like in your team? Like are you just a solo founder or do you have like other people?
I am the solar founder. When I started the Instagram page, I was the one doing everything. I would be doing the queries, the packaging, all of that. But then I had to go back to my university because I was completing my MBA. So then I decided to have someone else on board. Her name was Sakina, and she started working with me. She was also a student, so she was working online. She did amazing. She took care of all the things that she had to, because I was really busy. Then in April, I got another person on board. Now I also have a graphic designer. Then I outsourced a web developing company for my website. And now I have this guy who helps me maintain the website. So if there are any issues or anything, I have this guy on a backup who addresses this issue.
So you're still like in school right now, and then you're finishing your studies, and you're also
No,
doing
no,
this
no, no.
part time.
No, no.
Oh, you
I
graduated.
graduated. I
Okay.
graduated in June 2021,
Okay.
and then I started working full time. And since then, I've been working full time on Sisterhood.
Okay, okay. So, I mean, how does it like feel like, you could have like, taken a corporate job and but you decided to venture out on your own. And of course, it's going to be like it's not going to give you the same amount of monetary compensation initially. So, how does it feel to like venture into something that's like so risky, right? Like it's a risky
Yeah,
bet. Like
yeah.
you're making a very risky bet, like where you're saying I'm not going to take a job and I'm just going to do something on my own and see how it goes.
I'll be very honest with you. It's really scary because, I can't, university that I graduated from, it's very competitive. So everybody in my batch was super like competitive, and everybody got jobs in like big companies, and everybody's telling me I got a job here. This is how much I'm money earning, and I'm like just sitting there, and because literally at this stage of your startup, you're putting in money. You're not taking out any money. So when you have three people on board, a fixed cost that you have to pay, it's a lot of liability on your head. But it's like I believe it's all about your mindset. It's all about perception. I believe that this is a huge opportunity. I've created something over a year and that I'm super proud of. And when I look at the markets in Europe or in America, I see how big this thing can grow, even in Pakistan. So I see opportunity. I believe in the idea. I believe in the cause because, like I said, there are a lot of buy and sell platforms out there, but Sisterhood is the only purpose-driven platform. Like if you visit our website or if you visit our Instagram pages, you will realize that we're just not a buy and sell platform. So it's very fulfilling in terms of, every time we get a good customer review, every time we get a good review or a feedback from a seller, it feels super, super fulfilling. So it feels like it's so much worth it.
That's great.
Money
That's
should
good.
not be motivation. Yeah.
That's good to hear. So, of course, like, you start out a startup and like, you're working on things and you go in with a certain mindset, but then you realize certain challenges that you might have not seen before starting out. So,
Yeah.
what are some of the challenges that you face right now?
In terms of the business model, Sisterhood. So
Uh,
one of the
it could be business
sorry.
model, it could be like anything else, any technical challenges or anything related to like running your business. What's the like, what keeps you up at night, maybe?
I'm someone full of ideas, but I'm really struggling with something is creating user-generated content,
Okay.
because enabling people to actually tag when they buy something from Sisterhood, actually tagging Sisterhood that yes, I bought this from Sisterhood, because this is a very taboo situation in Pakistan. So people shop a lot secondhand stuff, but they don't admit it. So getting someone to actually tag or actually give a feedback on their profile to Sisterhood is sort of a challenge that I believe like I've run out of ideas. So that's something I feel like I need to maybe
Okay.
work more on.
Okay.
Besides that, I think logistics is a huge issue. So when you're arranging pickups from sellers and then you're getting it delivered, um, sellers have a lot of role to play in it. So their professionalism, their commitment, if they have the package ready on time, if they deliver, when the rider comes, if they're responsive, all of those things play a huge role. So I feel like most of my team's work goes in coordinating with the sellers and the buyers. So yeah.
Do you accept like credit cards? Is it mostly cash on delivery? Like, how do you go about taking care of that?
So we have online payments and we have CODs.
Okay.
So, but most of the women in Pakistan either are not banked or they're just not comfortable with, paying online. Especially when
Right.
you talk about pre-loved items, they're a bit more skeptical. So, I believe that 75% of our orders are on COD and like 20% are on online payments.
Where do you see the biggest like growth that's happened so far? Like, kind of a surprise. Like you were maybe focusing a lot on Facebook, and it turns out the word of mouth is more powerful in terms of marketing.
It definitely is. I was really surprised by influencer marketing, the impact that influencer marketing was able to create. So, one of my friends, she's my best friend, and she's a huge, big blogger. Her name is Girls in the Twin Cities. So, when I started off, her sister and her, they liked my idea, they liked the purpose. So, they gave me a shout out, and I saw a huge influx of women like following Sisterhood. So, like within a day, my following grew by 300 followers. So and every time I get a shout out for influencer, or if I every time I have some sort of collaboration with an influencer, I see a huge response. And then I have this girls messaging me, Mariana wore this shirt, do you have it? Like stuff like that.
Okay, that was surprise. So influencer marketing is a channel that you used, and you kind of surprised the amount of feedback you got and response you had.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
because I understand that influencer marketing would be effective, but it was super effective in my case somehow because I have done everything in the field of marketing. So I sponsored my post, and I have had someone like a big influencer give me a shout out. So the difference or the effectiveness between the two is marginally different. Like influencer marketing is much more effective than just the paid content, even if you're injecting equal amount of money.
So yeah, I know in your email you touched on when we were coordinating that you have this, like, you have a passion for making about climate change and all these things. So can you tell us more about what does that mean? Like, to have to give a venue for used clothing to get sold, instead of, like, new clothes going into production, as well as, like, what is it the impact look like to the environment?
The impact is so huge that when I started learning about it, once I understood the concept of fast fashion, and then when I started reading about what sustainable fashion is and the impact that secondhand clothes create in the environment, I was shocked, and I was so unaware for maybe the 26 years of my life. So basically, if just to put in a perspective, buying one pre-loved item is equivalent to saving carbon emission equivalent to 500,000 cars off the road for one whole year. If you buy one pre-loved cotton t-shirt, you're saving water equivalent to what an average man consumes over a span of 2.5 years. If you buy one pre-loved jeans, you're saving water equivalent to an average man's consumption for 6.5 years. So I can go on and on about this. There are multiple things, like how you are able to create an impact. Every time you are buying a pre-love, you're paying one less dollar or 10 less dollars to the company that's actually exploiting labor in the third world countries. An item, and each item that you discard of your clothing item, that lies into your landfill for up to 250 years, where it takes that much amount of time to get decomposed, emitting harmful gases. Because what we don't realize is that most of our clothes have plastic in them. So even your clothes are something that are just contributing just very badly to the environment. Like in fashion industry, it has become the second largest polluter in the world, and by the rate we're going, it might be the first one in a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, because this is very interesting. Whatever you just mentioned about the environment, the impact on the environment. Because as a consumer, of course, I would never look at it from that point of view. And given the number of ways now people sell their products, or people create certain things and try to sell them on social media, it's like you don't really know. You're just buying it for the vanity, because you like something and you just make a purchase, and you're not thinking about the impact you might have on, like, the environment and all these things. So this is very interesting, and I never looked at it from that point of view. So with used clothing, might not have good quality, or might be worn out a little bit more than the seller is claiming. So how do you tackle these things? Like, how do you, if I were to ask you to make me a pitch for why I should buy something used, what would you say to me? Besides the environmental impact, like, how would you convince me to buy some used clothing?
Sure, I would do that. But just before that, I just want to clarify one thing, because you just said that secondhand clothes, they are a bit more worn and their lifespan might be shorter. The whole concept of fast fashion is to make clothes that are cheaper, so that people buy more. And they create that sense of urgency, because like Zara replaces their stock every 2 weeks. So if you like something and you maybe think that, okay, I'll come the next day buy it, you might not even find it on the shelves, because that's their strategy. They want people, the reason it's called fast fashion is because they want people to buy more and more and more, so, and to wear their clothes less and less. They're just like reducing the lifespan of a cloth that an average person uses, or the trends. They're just like, they have just so much accelerated the trends that every day is a new trend, and every day you want to buy something new. That's leading to overconsumption and over cluttering. So, okay, now your question was, how would I pitch to someone if they? First of all, my biggest point is that pre-loved items are not necessarily cheap items. These are high quality, high price ticket items that you are getting at a discounted price. The second of all, in a market like Pakistan, where you don't have access to a lot of brands, you can get, because a lot of women travel, they buy these items that they're not wearing and they sell. So you can get access to brands like those, like they are sustainable. At the same time, they are the brands that you would not very commonly find in Pakistan, like Michael Kors, Tory Burch. If you go out there to get a brand new bag of Michael Kors, it will cost you around 30,000 in Pakistan, but you can find, have it for 15,000 on a platform that is a buy and sell resale. So there is definitely a lot of value. And as far as the quality is concerned, we don't upload accept all the items on our website. Every item is vetted through a process. So based on the condition, the price, and the brand. So even if you have received, like if you have ordered through Sisterhood and you have received your item, you do not like it, you can always claim a refund and a return. So that's a buyer protection that we provide.
Where do you see this going? Like, as in, like, where do you plan on taking Sisterhood, like, going forward? Like, are you just going to double down on, like, working on things that you're already working on that you have proven to be very successful in terms of getting you customers, or is there something else that you're trying to do that will help you significantly make a lot more impact than just basically being a marketplace?
Yeah. So in the long run, so there are multiple things that we're doing. First, so we are, like I said, that we are making sure that every parcel that is dispatched, we add this note that states an impact that that person has created by buying that pre-love, just so that we basically, what we're trying to do is that in the long run, we're trying to change the consumer perception in Pakistan. And the idea is to actually partner up with trendsetters to sort of establish this narrative where pre-loved is not something that you're ashamed of. Pre-loved is something that you should be proud of, because that shows that you're aware, that shows that you're conscious of how you consume, and that shows that you're creating an impact. So first of all, my first step is to change that mindset, but that's a long-term goal. As far as business model, if you're asking what else do I plan to do with my business model, right now we are only commission based, but in the long run we aim to get into rentals. We aim to partner up with brands for sort of process where they can provide some sort of incentive for people who are buying pre-love from, like, a second-hand item from there, because we see that brands have already started doing this. We see that Levi's is doing it, and many more brands in the American markets have started doing this, where they are actually encouraging their consumers to buy pre-loved, just like second-hand item of their brand. So there are a lot of opportunities in the future. There's definitely export leftover. So yeah, there are multiple revenue options that I have thought in my head that we could be going out in future for.
Cool. Well, that's interesting. So since you mentioned brands, like, what is your favorite brand?
Okay, so my favorite brand is a local brand. It's Generation.
Okay.
Yeah, I just love their. It's a very old brand.
Wait,
Like, I've worn Generation throughout my life.
is that apparel, or is it like clothing, or
It is apparel. It is
okay.
apparel. It is like Eastern apparel.
Okay.
So I've worn Generation throughout. My mother has worn Generation. My sister,
Okay.
like everybody I know, it's a family thing. We're just very
Okay.
loyal to
What is a
brand.
non-local brand that you like?
I hate Zara, H&M, all of these brands now. But I think I like Kate Spade. Like her stuff is like pretty cool.
So so I've always personally, like, when I visit Pakistan, it's if someone finds out I'm visiting Pakistan, they'll ask me to get them some things. Usually it's, like, of course, branded items, designer clothing, designer bags, and stuff like that. So what is, like, is there, do people care what the brand is before making a purchase, or or is in your experience, is the quality more important than the brand?
No, I believe brands are very important when people are making choices.
Okay.
There are certain people who are willing to buy non-branded items as well, but it depends on your willingness to pay. So if it is a branded item, your willingness to pay is much more than if it's not. So that's the thing. Like, people would spend 15,000 on a pre-loved branded item, but they will not spend 15,000 on a, let's suppose, pre-loved Eastern wear that's not branded or that's not designer.
So what would you say your what is your superpower? As in, like, what do you bring to table in terms of your startup? How do you Are you like more of a like marketing or operations person, or are you more like business development in that sense that you are like really looking to make deals, and so you're out there like, trying to convince people to partner with you? Like,
I believe our superpower is A, our purpose driven approach, B, our customer service. So the thing is that we have really, in the last year or so, we have really put in our effort to build a brand. So when anybody comes to our page, they are able to see, or they are able to see what we're trying to say or what we're trying to convey, and our relationship with our customers, our buyers and sellers. So many girls message us that, thank you for existing, we love your platform, thank you for educating us. So that, I believe, is our superpower, because as I said earlier as well, there are a lot of buy and sell platforms with very, very poor customer services. Like, it will take them 2 days to just respond to you, or you just you place an order through them and you don't like the product, and nobody's there to take accountability or take responsibility. But with Sisterhood, as the name recommends, we are trying to create a community of sisters who are environmentally conscious, and they are bold enough to actually buy from each other, and they're comfortable with the pre-loved idea, because it's from one. So our tagline is also from one sister to another. So it's the community that we have built is what I believe our superpower.
okay, so what would you say? What do you personally enjoy doing? Do you like marketing and talking to customers directly? Like,
Yeah, I love talking to customers, like customer service. I love responding to people. If anybody has an issue, I love solving it out for them. And branding as well. So I work very closely with my graphic designer to where we create content, and yeah.
I always ask this to founders: any book recommendation any book that you have read recently, or any podcast recommendation that you have for founders, or it could be just a general recommendation.
I would recommend Shadows of the Wind he's
Okay.
a Spanish writer, Carlos Ruiz. It is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful book. I
Okay.
love that book.
Okay. If I'm guessing it's fiction you're talking about.
Yeah, it's fiction. It's fiction.
Okay.
I also read this book. It's a very famous book about, oh my god, I've totally forgotten the name. How to Make Money and Grow Rich, something like that.
Okay.
That's the title. Yeah.
Okay.
So that is a super, super amazing book, because in that, basically, that guy is sharing a secret that is basically, it's an ideology, it's a philosophy that all the successful people follow. Maybe they don't realize it, maybe they don't realize it. And, the first three elements in that philosophy are basically self-belief, faith, and, consistency. So I feel like, as an entrepreneur, these are things that you just need to have to keep going.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that recommendation. Thank you for being on the Misal podcast, and best of luck to you.
No, thank you so much for having me here, and something as small as Sisterhood giving a chance to come here and talk on your platform.
Thanks for listening to the Misal podcast. I hope you enjoyed the podcast and will thank me by writing a review or sharing it on social media. Make sure you follow and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Thanks again. See you soon.